Hi, y'all, and welcome to tonight's live stream. The Melodee Buzzard case makes no sense. A 9-year-old manages to vanish into thin air. She's with her mom. They rent a car. The mom drives 1,500 miles across the U.S., across several states, and then comes home alone. There's some question around when exactly the child was last seen. And there are some bizarre twists in the case, like a disguise, a rental car, and even a deep fake video involving the FBI director that's being passed around online. Tonight, we are going to cut through the chaos, and I'll show you what's confirmed, what just frankly contradicts itself, and talk about why the case feels more like a mystery novel than a police report. On October 7th, 2025, a 9-year-old girl walked into a California car rental agency with her mother. Melodee Buzzard was a beautiful, happy child with a mop of gorgeous curly hair, but law enforcement believes she was wearing a wig over her hair, a wig of long, dark, and very straight hair. We're going to look at that picture tonight. Ashley Buzzard, the mother, and her disguised daughter, Melodee, then embarked on a 3,000-mile cross-country road trip, 1,500 one direction, 1,500 back. And they crossed through Kansas for sure, and for some mysterious reason, which no one can explain, went to Nebraska. But somewhere in that massive journey, somewhere between California and Nebraska, Melodee vanished. Ashley returned to California alone. She turned the car in, the rental car in, alone, and she went back to her house alone. Melodee hasn't been heard from since, and Ashley will not say word one about what happened or about where Melodee is. And now the question is, where is Melodee Buzzard? I am so glad to be back with you tonight. I took a little time off. We are going to play the Where in the World Was Lawyer Lee game, and you can put in your guesses. We'll talk about it at the end, assuming you remind me. Last time we did this and I forgot. So where was I during our time off? I also got a chance to meet someone very special to the channel, and I will show you a picture of that at the end too. So you got to stick around for that. So go ahead and put in your guess. Where in the world was Lawyer Lee? And I will try to remember to come back to that at the end. A special shout out to our first 5 tonight. Betsy Sue, just call me Betsy. Susan D78, Chico Karen, Bama Queen, and April Williams. And I want to shout out a brand new friend of mine from a place that will not be disclosed because you're trying to guess it, Rima. All right, so one of the most frightening aspects of this case, in my opinion, is how isolated Melodee was. She already was nearly off the grid. Nobody was watching out for her except her mom, Ashley. And there's a lot of question about just how much watching Ashley was doing. Melodee's dad had died in a motorcycle wreck when Melodee was an infant. Melodee's mom, Ashley, had held all her relatives at arm's length. Most of them had not seen Melodee for years. Even Ashley's own mother had not seen Melodee for a year and a half or so. Melodee did not go to a school where teachers and friends would be watching out for her. She supposedly was being homeschooled. But as it turns out, it had been some time since she had checked in. And it was perhaps this one small fact that kept Melodee from falling into oblivion and instead catapulted her into the world's attention. Initially, news reports said, based on a statement from law enforcement, that Melodee had not been seen by anyone for a full year. Now, that would have made it very difficult for law enforcement to figure out just what had happened to little Melodee. So let's take a look at what was initially reported. Let me put that up on the screen for you. So you can see an ABC News article, and you can see in the caption to the photograph there, It talks about authorities were looking for 9-year-old girl who hasn't been seen in at least 1 year. The search for Melodee Buzzard was sparked on Tuesday when a school official reported her, quote, prolonged absence, the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office said. So as it turns out, though, that initial information was incorrect. Law enforcement later was able to confirm that the school was able to verify that Melodee was alive as recently as August of 2025. But still, the chilling point does remain that nobody really had eyes on Melodee Buzzard. On October 14, 2025, the school reported that Melodee had that extended absence I just read about from her independent studies program. And the Los Angeles Times, I'll go ahead and pull that out and make this bigger. Okay. The Los Angeles Times reported about that Melodee had not picked up her assignments. We don't know exactly what extended absence means. Like, how long had she not been checking in or picking up assignments? We don't really know the answer to that. But fortunately, Santa Barbara County officials swung into action immediately with no delay. They went to Melodee's house for a welfare check that very same day. And obviously, what they were hoping was that they would find Melodee at home. I mean, maybe they'd find out she'd been sick or just slacking on her work. But the hope was that they could confirm she was okay, and then the school could get into business figuring out how to jumpstart her in the classes and get her moving on the coursework. But that is not what they found. And what they found was far more disturbing than a kid just missing some assignments. Melodee wasn't at her house at all. That might not have been alarming in and of itself. I mean, maybe there would be some completely simple explanation, like she was visiting relatives, or maybe she had gone to see a friend. But there was something that was immediately alarming to law enforcement, and that is that Melodee wasn't at the house, and Melodee's mom, Ashley, couldn't give them any kind of coherent explanation as to why Melodee wasn't there. I mean, it could have been easy, right? She's at grandma, she's visiting her friend Jennifer. But instead, Ashley wasn't talking, wasn't answering their questions about where Melodee was and about why she wasn't checking in at the school. You definitely want to stick around for the second part of this video, because I'm going to go over specifically what law enforcement said, and you can kind of watch the investigation unfold through that. But for now, let's talk a little bit more about how Melodee was so isolated and about what was happening. Thank you. Chico Karen has been a member for 20 months. That is awesome. That is as long as we've had members, I think. So thank you, Chico Karen. And so has Bama Queen. And I'm so glad. And I also am with you fully in appreciating the mods. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. And so thank you both. I appreciate your being members for that long. All right. So Ashley, I mentioned that Ashley's father was deceased, but his family was still around, and so was Ashley's mom. And then both sides ended up being more or less estranged and not getting to see Melodee. On the father's side, the family members say they wanted a relationship with Melodee, but Ashley would not allow them to see her. The dad's family spoke to KEYT, the local ABC Fox affiliate. And here's, let's add to the stage what they said. This is the article where they talked to the ABC Fox affiliate about what had happened. And here's what they said. They said that the mother of the father who had passed away, so in other words, Melodee's grandmother, was contacted last Thursday, this week and a half ago now, to tell her the child had been reported missing. She hasn't let us see her for a few years, and said the sister, in other words, Melodee's aunt. And all of us have tried, but we never stopped thinking about her or loving her or praying for her. When they learned that Melodee was missing, her dad's family gathered outside Ashley's and Melodee's home for a candlelight vigil. Now, for some years, Ashley gained more access to her own mother, but at some point that ended. Lori Miranda, the grandmother, the other side, Ashley's mother, told local channel KSBY that she hadn't seen or spoken to her daughter in a year and a half to 2 years. And just like the dad's side of the family, Ashley's mom said she found out that Melodee was missing when law enforcement called to ask if she knew where Melodee was. Miranda said she had even held on to Melodee's 9th birthday gifts since February, hoping she would get another chance to be involved in Melodee's life and to give her these gifts. Now, Melodee also has an older sister, Corinna Meza, and Corinna told Ashley Banfield on News Nation that after the story broke, she tried to find out from her mom what had happened to her sister, but her mother wouldn't tell her any more than she was telling law enforcement. Here's what she said. She said she did not answer any questions, meaning Ashley didn't answer any questions regarding Melodee, only to let me know that everything has been hard on her and her mental health, and that she didn't appreciate all the attention she's been getting and the fact that I was there and knocking at the door. And she also said that her mother, she doesn't really have much emotion, like a very straight face, no emotion at all, like no emotion at all. So we don't know, obviously, yet much about the mother, Ashley. We don't know yet exactly what some of the issues she might have had were. What was going on in her life at the time that Melodee disappeared? We have zero, basically, information about it. About the only thing we have is something from her own mother, Lori Miranda, who told KSBY about a very serious mental episode in Ashley's past shortly after Melodee was born. And Miranda said that at that time, authorities called her, and let's add this back to the stage and take you to that article, and said, the sheriff called her and said, I'm at your daughter's house, and I was just getting ready to take your granddaughter, Melodee, with me to CPS because we're getting ready to take your daughter to the hospital. And she said she got to the house. It was a mess. I couldn't believe it was my daughter. I mean, the house was in disarray. There were raw eggs in pans. There was rotten food in the fridge. I think she was trying to give my granddaughter. So is what's happened this time a mental health episode? Lori Miranda did seem to believe that, did seem to think that. She also told the news station, everybody's dragging Ashley around and she should be at the hospital. And you should be talking to her there instead of everybody rattling her cage and then trying to act like they're trying to help. So she clearly believes that that the issues around Melodee's disappearance and the fact that Ashley won't talk about it relate to Ashley's mental health issues, that she's currently in crisis. I forgot to say earlier, would you please hit the like button? That will help YouTube know we're here, we're back, we are live again. And also, if you aren't subscribed, we would love to have you subscribe and come back for more videos. So I want to walk now through the actual search for Melodee Buzzard, what's happened so far. I want to look at what law enforcement has told us and what they're doing to try to find Melodee. So let's pull up the first press release that came out from law enforcement about this case. It was October 17th. I think this was the very first one. And here's what they said. And I've got a number of documents to manage here, so give me just a second. This is the 15th. The 15th was the very first one. And here's what they said. They said the investigation began on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025, after a school administrator reported Melodee's prolonged absence. Deputies attempted to contact Melodee and her mother, Ashley Buzzard, at their home in the 500 block of Mars Avenue, but Melodee was not there and no clear explanation was provided for her whereabouts. Detectives have been unable to confirm any recent sightings of Melodee. The last verified contact with her was approximately 1 year ago. and the most recent photograph available was taken 2 years ago. So at that point, they were suggesting that nobody had confirmed sighting of Melodee for an entire year. That would obviously be a huge period of time at any point in which Melodee could have disappeared and would make the investigation much more difficult. But as the investigation progressed, detectives learned that that information was incorrect. It was not true that the last verified contact was a year ago. It was more recent, and you can see that in the next press release, this one being on the 17th. They said, with the assistance of Lompoc Unified School District, detectives have confirmed that Melodee was seen as recently as August of 2025. So they've narrowed it down from a full year to something like a month and a half. And the Lieutenant Chris Gottschall from the CID, Criminal Investigations Division, said, this important update helps narrow a significant gap in the timeline of when she was last known to be seen. And because of that, we're closer to understanding what happened to Melodee. But they added, her mother, Ashley Buzzard, has been uncooperative with investigators, and detectives have not received any verified information about Melodee's current whereabouts. So think about how big of a difference this is to go from an entire year down to just a matter of weeks when she's missing. It enables them to focus the investigation instead of this massive period of time and you have no idea when it happened. It's a much narrower field. It goes basically from being a long shot at ever finding her to being a real shot at finding out at least when and where she went missing. But as you're about to see, they were able to narrow it down even further and to provide some details about not just when, but where Melodee went missing or may have gone missing. In both of these press releases, you can see that detectives are already suspicious of the mom, and they're specifically calling out her refusal to provide any information about Melodee, like when she went missing, why she isn't at home, where she was last seen, anything at all. But of course, meanwhile, they continue to investigate. So we'll go on to the next press release, which was another 3 days later. And at this point, law enforcement said through their investigation, detectives have gathered evidence indicating that Melodee was with her mother, Ashley Buzzard, as recently as October 7th, 2025. Detectives have also determined that Ashley may have driven with Melodee in and here we get really specific information, white Chevrolet Malibu, license number 9MNG101, to locations outside of Santa Barbara County, to include as far as the state of Nebraska. The vehicle was determined to be a rental car, no longer in Ashley's possession. At this point in the investigation, Ashley Buzzard remains uncooperative and has not provided detectives with any information about Melodee's current location or condition. And they also added detectives have already conducted a thorough search of the family's residence. So this was very specific information about where Ashley Buzzard may have gone with Melodee, and even about how she went in terms of the vehicle and even what license number it had. They name a specific state. Of course, Melodee could have been left anywhere between California and Nebraska, but if Ashley had somehow gotten rid of Melodee somewhere before Nebraska, it does seem kind of random that she just would have driven on to Nebraska and then turned around. The rental car is obviously incredibly important. Of course, there could be very logical reasons why Ashley needed a car. Maybe she'd had a wreck. Maybe she didn't have a car, or maybe she didn't have a car in good enough shape to make it all the way to Nebraska. But the fact that she rented a car shows purpose and shows planning. She had a place to go. She needed a way to get there. She was willing to spend money to get there. All of that suggests intent and planning, which are the hallmarks that prosecutors are going to be looking for if they ultimately decide to charge Ashley with a crime, whatever it may be. If it's transporting across state lines or trafficking or murder, it was done, they will argue, with intent and planning, not spur of the moment. They got in the car and they intentionally drove 1,500 miles away. So in the next press release, we get more information about how investigators learned Melodee was missing. And specifically, law enforcement asked the public to focus on the entire trip, not just the furthest place that Ashley went, not just Nebraska, but everything in between. Also, they have a very important, critical new partner. Okay, so this is October 22nd. Santa Barbara County Sheriff's detectives continue to seek the public's help in locating 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard, who remains missing and is considered at risk due to her age and the length of her absence. When a school administrator reported Melodee's extended absence, deputies attempted to contact Melodee and her mother, Ashley Buzzard, at their residence, but Melodee was not home and there was no verifiable explanation for her whereabouts. Through their ongoing investigation, detectives have found evidence that Melodee was with her mother as recently as October 7th, 2025. Notice how important this is. They knocked off another 4 to 6 weeks of time when she might have gone missing. They have now narrowed it down to a matter of a very few days before she was gone. Investigators have also determined that Ashley may have traveled with Melodee anywhere between Lompoc and the state of Nebraska. At this stage, Ashley remains uncooperative and has not provided any information about Melodee's current location or welfare. The FBI joined the investigation on Saturday, October 18, 2025. Searches have already been conducted at the family's residence and surrounding areas. That's some new information, not just at the family's residence, also surrounding areas, which you would think probably means the yard around the home. So they've also looked there, and they are still not finding 9-year-old Melodee. Still, she's missing. So in this press release, we now are reminded that it's important to look along this route and that there was this trip. It could have been anywhere between Lompoc and Nebraska. And they're saying, look around, look at all of those places. Excuse me. So the sheriff is really pointing out here, it's about to point out some of the new information that they're going to have. Let's move on to the next press release to see that. So in this particular press release, detectives began their investigation on October 14, 2025, when a school administrator reported Melodee's extended absence, and they tried to contact her. She wasn't home, no explanation. We've heard that part before. And they've now said that, again, that she may have traveled anywhere in that period. Sorry, every time I hit that, it reverses colors. And you should look along the way. We don't know exactly where it happened. Through their ongoing investigation, detectives have narrowed the critical timeline to between October 7 and October 10, 2025. Really specific now, right? Really narrow. Look on these 4 days. If we are focused on that, you should focus, the public should focus on those same 4 days. Investigators have confirmed that Ashley was seen returning to her Lompoc residence on October 10, driving the same rental vehicle she departed with on October 7, but Melodee was not in the car. Investigators understand that this 3-day road trip went from Lompoc to the Nebraska area, with the return trip including the state of Kansas. Detectives are now focused on determining where Melodee was during those 3 days and where she may be now. And they put these 2 pictures of Melodee in. These are pictures that law enforcement believes show Melodee going into the rental car location with her mother when they rented that car on October 7th, before the road trip to Nebraska. As part of this update, detectives are sharing surveillance images of Melodee captured at a local car rental business on October 7. In the photo, Melodee is wearing a hooded sweatshirt with the hood pulled up and what appears to be a wig that is darker and straighter than her natural hair. Investigators believe the wig may have been used to alter her. They keep popping that up. I can't go any higher. May have been used to alter her appearance. Detectives also note that Ashley is known to wear wigs. Obviously, this is hugely important because the sheriff is pointing out it's not at all clear what's happened to Melodee. There are frankly a lot of similarities to what we saw in the Lori Vallow Daybell case. She also refused to say where her two children were, and she simply stated that they were safe, by which apparently she meant dead in her new lover's backyard. But as of now, we don't know what has happened to Melodee. We don't know that she's dead. She may be alive. And the next post gave some confirmation that she was still alive on October 7th, that it was now narrowed to that 3-day window. But it also had this chilling information about the wig. Legally speaking, that is the most, and I'll go ahead and pull out and remove that and talk to y'all. Legally speaking, the wig is the most important detail in what we've learned so far. And it's also the most disturbing fact. Why would a 9-year-old wear a wig? A purple wig on Halloween, of course, a wig after chemo, yes. But just going into a rental car company, why would a 9-year-old wear a wig that straightens her hair out? What would be the point of that? Now, law enforcement is suggesting it was to alter Melodee's appearance, and a 9-year-old wouldn't decide to do that on her own, which leads us back to the question of what Ashley knows about Melodee's disappearance. The wig hands law enforcement the argument that Ashley was disguising her daughter, that Ashley was planning in advance for Melodee to disappear, and that she wanted to disguise Melodee so that no one stopped her plans and no one connected her to this disappearance. Now, that leads straight into the issue that is hardest for prosecutors to prove, and that's intent. Intent gets into the mind of the defendant, and that's a hard thing to prove. It's hard for a prosecutor to prove what someone was thinking, but if Ashley was intentionally disguising her 9-year-old, that implies that Ashley was doing something that she thought somebody might not want her to do. Prosecutors are going to argue that Ashley knew she was committing a crime and she wanted to get away with it. So she disguised her daughter. Now, Ashley may have a great counter argument for this, like maybe she needed to protect Melodee from detection by some wrongdoer, but who? Right now, we don't have Ashley's side of the story. And may I be entirely clear on this, which is Ashley hasn't been charged with anything. She hasn't been charged with a crime. She hasn't been charged with harming Melodee, with giving her away, failing to protect her, anything. There are no charges against Ashley at all right now. But the investigation is clearly still hot. Just last Friday, we got news that the sheriff's office and the FBI served 3 search warrants. Let's take a look at that press release. Sheriff's detectives are sharing an update. On Thursday, sheriff's detectives, along with the FBI, served follow-up search warrants at the home of Ashley and Melodee Buzzard in the 500 block of Mars Avenue, as well as a storage locker and the rental car that Melodee was last seen in anticipation of the need for access to the residence during the search for an extended period of time. Detectives escorted Ashley, the mother, to an alternate location that would not interfere with their ability to conduct a thorough search. This case remains a missing person investigation. There have been no arrests made in the case. And there was then a statement from the sheriff's lieutenant, Chris Gottschall, saying, "We appreciate the FBI's assistance in today's searches. In cases like this, every detail matters, and it is invaluable to have additional resources and specialized expertise. Collaboration with our federal partners allows us to ensure we're using every available tool to help bring resolution to this case. All right, let's pull that out and make this a little larger again. So you can see the car is a potentially rich source of evidence. The GPS could show where the car went. It could show places that Ashley stopped along the way. It might have Melodee's DNA or skin cells or hair cells. There might be traces of blood somewhere in the vehicle. There could be spots of damage on the vehicle. Of course, by now, the rental car company has probably cleaned out the vehicle several times over in preparation to rent it to other people. So it's not at all clear whether any of this evidence will still be available. The storage locker search is very intriguing. We don't have much information, obviously. We don't even know where it was. Was it at the house? Was this an offsite storage? And if so, who rented it? And when? Was it before or after Melodee disappeared? And then what did they find in it when they actually searched it? The Daily Mail reported that a neighbor told them that Ashley had been handed a notice giving her just 72 hours to produce Melodee or to give a darn good explanation for where she is. But that 72-hour deadline came and went last Thursday night. And to date, Ashley has not been arrested or charged with any crime connected to Melodee that we know about. But she also has not been hospitalized. Now, no one other than Ashley's mom has suggested that Ashley might be having a mental break or that Ashley might need mental treatment. That suggests that the state believes she's in her right mind. And if she is charged, then they could fully prosecute her, but they have not charged her. Now, nobody has accused her of a crime. California does have an insanity defense when someone is so mentally incapacitated that they do not understand the nature of what they're doing or did not realize that what they were doing was morally wrong. But given the rental car, the wig, the adamant refusal to talk to police, the insanity defense could be a pretty big stretch if Ashley is ever charged. For now, law enforcement is not charging her. They're simply saying that she is not cooperating. But as you can see, nothing about the case fits together. The timeline, the surveillance footage, the official statements, it keeps shifting, and every answer seems to spawn a new set of questions. Now, tomorrow night, I'm going to take you into, and it may be Wednesday night, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it all by tomorrow, but if not Wednesday, I'm going to take you into the next bizarre chapter, which is that deep fake video of the FBI director that's suddenly being tied to this case. It's about this very case. If you thought the Melodee Buzzard story did not make sense before, just wait until you see what's coming next. So be sure to hit subscribe. You do not want to miss that video. All right, I've got some more. Oh, look at that. Some people have gifted Lawyer League memberships. Thank you, Beth. I very much appreciate that. And also, Beth gifted 5 Lawyer League memberships, and Todd Johnson gifted 10 more. If you aren't a member, you can always join by hitting the join button next to the name of the channel, but you also can turn on your ability to receive a gifted membership. Our mods will put in the chat how you do that. And Annie K, a member for 20 months, and she loves the live streams. I am glad. I'm very glad. I appreciate it. And thank you for being a longtime member, Annie K. Much appreciated. All right. Well, if you have questions, if you would put those in the chat with some question marks at the beginning, I would appreciate it. And that will help me spot them when you put them in the chat. So, all right, let's see. Let's go back to the beginning and see what were your guesses on the where in the world was Lawyer Lee. So, let's see. Let me pull this up. So there I am. I am, let's see what y'all thought. I'm not seeing anybody. I'm not seeing what y'all guessed. I was curious what y'all thought. The Netherlands. Yes. Maybe that someone was just talking to Marlon. He's one of our mods. Surely you didn't think I was in the Netherlands with the elephants. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not very good with geography either, so maybe that was it. Okay, so I don't know what your guesses are. I'll just tell you, I was in Sri Lanka and I got to see actual wild elephants, which was crazy, just crazy. I could not believe it. And I also later in my trip got to meet someone special from the channel. You will all know this is Mama Pinks, one of our 2 mods. And I went through California and got to meet Mama Pinks. So anyway, that was really awesome. Our other mod, I'm so grateful to both our mods. Marlon from the Netherlands is our other mod, and I'm very, very appreciative to them. They've been with the channel for forever, and it was really cool to get to meet Mama Pinks. All right, so let's see what some of the questions are coming in. Oh, I see lots of guesses as to where I was. Here they are. We had Kenya, South Africa, LOL, not the Netherlands, says Marlon. Let's see, India, all good. Ireland, says Style M for Mildred. That was the answer to the last Where in the World is Lawyer Lee, where I forgot to tell you where I was. Like, here's a picture, guess where I am, and I never told you. So that was, kind of wrong of me in terms of teasing y'all. But that was the correct answer last time. So thank you, Dial M for Mildred. All right, lots of guesses of Africa. Boy, I sure would like to go to Africa. That would be so interesting to go on a safari in Africa. I don't think I want to see a lion, though. I think that's terrifying, just too terrifying. I was nervous enough with the elephants. They are huge. All right, so I see Thailand, India, lots of guesses. All right, I know I love elephants, too. All right, I saw a guess. I saw that from Norma. Okay, so I'm supposed to be answering questions. I've gotten distracted just talking to y'all. Did Weezer wants to know, did your daughter go? Yes, indeed. My daughter went. She has a goal to see every country in the world. I think I don't have time to see every country in the world, but it's a lot of fun going with her. The only thing is she won't go to any country she's already been to. And sometimes, darn, I would really like to go to that country. But anyway, yes, she went. Annie Kane wants to know, why can't the mom be arrested for child neglect to begin with? I think that there's no clear reason why the mom is not being arrested yet, Annie K. I just think that they're still getting their ducks in a row and trying to figure out what happened before they charge her. And I think at this stage, they may just not be sure about everything. And I guarantee you they have very close eyes on the mom, so they don't feel like she's going to get away while they figure out what on earth they're going to charge her with, what happened, try to trace it back. I think they would really like the answer because they could arrest her for that, but she's probably going to get bail if it's child neglect, and that may not be the ultimate charge they want to charge her with. So I think that's why they may also be hoping very much that she will lead them to Melodee or lead them to somebody who will know something about Melodee. The mom did try to rent a car, tried 2 different places to rent a car the other day, and they may be hoping for something like that. So that could be part of the reason why they're holding off. But they aren't telling us, so we're just guessing. Oh, dial in for Mildred. I have not yet met the new granddaughter. That is coming up, though. And so I don't know. I'm sure she'll love the quilt, but I don't know yet. I don't know the answer. All right, let's see. Thank you for remembering and asking that. Freddie's cat. Can the school system be held responsible for not noticing earlier that Melodee did not check in such a long time? Freddie's cat, that's a really good question. One of the terrifying things to me about a case like this is that nobody is watching for Melodee. There's no oversight at all. There's no support system because that was, according to the families, cut off. They were cut off. And the school system had some period of time. Now, we did hear in that latest as the press releases went on, we saw that law enforcement says, we thought it was a year. It wasn't a full year. It was August of 2025 when they last confirmed that she was seen. So I don't know what the rules for the school would be in terms of how long does she have to be gone or not picking up assignments before they need to ask for a welfare check. And it's also not clear exactly how long it was. August 2025 until October 14th when they requested it could be a full 2 months, depending on when in August it was. So it could have been that there was a solid 2 months when no one saw her. But if she was only picking up assignments ever so often, let's say she picked up the first month and now it's just been a little time, she hasn't picked up anything for October, it could be that they couldn't really tell. I think, though, it's really worrisome that the school didn't pick up on this and didn't realize it earlier. It could be that their system is an explanation for that, and I'm sure we will hear a lot more about that in the days to come. Betsy Sue wants to know, are her phones tapped and is there GPS on her car? I wouldn't be surprised, Betsy Sue, but at this stage, that's not anything that's being revealed to us, but I would not be at all surprised. Mickey wants to know, did they take her computer? We didn't get the detail on that. We did get the information about where they searched. And sometimes there will be a statement from law enforcement, we took 2 computers and a cell phone, something like that. Nothing like that this time. And so that may be a future announcement, or it could be that they just didn't add that detail in the press release. Okay, looking for question marks at the beginning. Where in Nebraska did she go? They don't tell us. So that's another missing piece of information. They did tell us, don't just focus on Nebraska, focus on the entire trip, everywhere she might have gone when she was moving from California to Nebraska and back. And they're saying on the way back, for sure, it included Kansas. So there may have been a sighting of her at, say, a gas station or a restaurant. And we don't know. Was Melodee with her at the time? Didn't get those details, but all that I think will probably come. Does Ashley have a job? How does she support herself? Good question. It does seem like it would be like she would be going to work regularly, and it doesn't appear like that from her place of from her residence. It doesn't seem like she's been going out frequently, so it doesn't seem like she's been going to work. So tons and tons of questions. I can't wait to tell you a little bit more about that deep fake video of the FBI director, of all people, to make a deep fake video, but to make a deep fake video of. He didn't make the deep fake video, but there was one made of him. It's pretty shocking. So I look forward to telling y'all about that next time. And I will look forward to seeing you in the next video.